Hello everyone and welcome back to Adoptions from the Heart TV. I'm your host, Amanda Aliberti. Today we're going to be talking about the wraparound services that we provide here at Adoptions from the Heart. Adoption can be a beautiful thing, but it's important that you have the foundation of a good agency and a good social worker in your corner. So that leads me to introduce Sheila, who is a social worker here at Adoptions from the Heart. So Sheila, talk to us about what your experience has been like as a caseworker, as a counselor, as a social worker in building connection to your clients, to your families, to your birth parents, and how important that is from the door.
First off, I'm an adoptive parent. So I have two children through international adoption, one who is 20 and one who just turned 18, which it's amazing to me. So when I'm working with adoptive parents, it helps them from the get-go that I share my experience with them and I talk to them about what it felt like for me at the time that I was going through the adoption process that they're going through, as well as through the years of being an adoptive parent and parenting adoptees. And the fact that I had some obstacles in my own children's lives and my own life as a parent that I had to figure out and understand and work to overcome, which caused me to kind of change how I parented my kids and make some adjustments in my life, and my husband and I both making those adjustments in order to serve the needs of our adoptees. And understanding that our adoptees may have needs that differ from the children that my friends are raising that are biological children, which was not something that I ever thought about until I started hitting some roadblocks in my parenting journey. I also explained very clearly to them that I want to help them to kind of avoid some of those roadblocks because there's so much more information that we have now as an adoption community that we didn't understand, that we didn't know because we weren't hearing from adult adoptees and learning directly from their experience. But now there's so much more information out in the adoption community that I want to make sure they have access to. So I'm always sharing resources with them. I'm always encouraging them to not only make the most of the education that we provide here at the agency, but also the resources that are available out in the adoption community, because there are many and they're wonderful. And had I had some of those early on, I think I would have been able to sidestep certain things or certainly would have done things differently in my parenting journey. That said, I also make sure to encourage them to build their adoption community very early from the start. And we offer so many opportunities for them to do that. Not only are they meeting other families in their education courses and through their home study process, but they have the opportunity to participate in support groups. And we have events and we have Facebook Live events and all sorts of different venues for them to engage with other adoptive parents, not only within our community, but in the community at large. Because I really do think that parenting takes a village, but adoptive parenting takes an adoptive parent village. It's not just your friends and your neighbors and your cousins and your family members. It has to be people who get it. And you have to build a community for your child. You have to do that early. Because what I say to my families is your teenagers are not going to allow you to make friends for them. So if you want your children to have other children in their lives that understand what it means to be an adoptee and to share their experience and to be able to go to, if they're feeling some kind of way about a birth parent visit or about not looking like their adoptive parents or about the family tree project that they have to do to school that they're unsure about because their family tree looks different than most people's family trees. They need people that are their age who share their experience to be able to have these conversations with. So if you build that for them early on, it's the norm. And it's not something else that makes them feel different that you're now throwing on them as teenagers, which is the time that they really need it. So these are all things that I share with my adoptive parents from the beginning, and I reinforce it with them throughout the process. I also make sure that they know that when they've been placed, it's not over, it's just beginning. And while you're not going to notice that there's stuff related to parenting an adoptee when you have a newborn or an infant or even maybe a 2-year-old, it's shortly thereafter that you will. And it's earlier than we may have thought. And there are resources available so that you can start addressing this. Things that may come up, that may have come up even if that was your biological child, But certainly because it's an adoptee, you should have the lens of adoption when you're looking at behaviors, when you're looking at the ways that children are learning and growing and developing and behaving from the very early age, because there could be a piece of it that's related to having been separated from their birth parent, to having been separated from birth family, to having that primal trauma that took place. So that's something that may not have been on their radar, and it just needs to be on the radar, and it needs to be something that they have to start thinking about from early on in order to most benefit their child.
With that being said, we've had many families highlight the importance of their relationship, specifically with their social worker on their journey towards placement. For you, what is your goal when you are assigned a family and they're going through the initial process and then the wait time? Like, what's important for you in building that connection, like a real connection, not just, families assigned a caseworker, here we go, the logistics of everything. What do you try to get out of that relationship and encourage your families to open up to for that building?
I'm an open book. That's just kind of how I am. I also, like I said, am parenting now young adults. So I've been in this world a little bit longer. I came into the field of adoption just in the last few years because I needed support and guidance that I didn't feel like was out there. So now I want to offer that support and guidance to my families. And I really want them to understand that they can ask me anything. I'm happy to share because that's how you learn and that's how you grow. And if you don't have that openness and things are kept secretive or things are kept inside and you're not willing to discuss it, it's likely going to be problematic down the road. So I try to make sure that they know that as much as I'm an open book with them, that they have the room to be that way with me. And they have no choice because in the home study process, they have to be an open book. They have to share very intimate details about themselves and about their journey as a couple or how they got to wanting to parent, if they've dealt with infertility, if they have their own mental health issues, if they have their own criminal backgrounds, like what have you. They have to lay themselves bare in this process in a way that anybody who's having a biological child doesn't. And so being that I went through it and I get it, and I'm somebody who's not afraid to say to the things that most people are thinking, I think it helps them to feel a little bit more comfortable opening up. And that really is my ultimate goal. Like, I want them to rely on me and to understand that I'm going to be there for them. And that's the conversation that I have with them from the get-go. And it's my intention to make sure that I follow through on that and that I work towards that with each couple to the best of my ability and theirs.
Yeah. And we've heard from many families that Sheila has counseled just the genuineness of that relationship and what that has meant for them in the good times and, more importantly, in the hard times. Because I think you have let your guard down and created a sense of trust with your clients, that they feel like they can rely on you in a very open, honest way, which is important. And it's a valuable resource as you're navigating becoming parents, whether we're talking about application, placement, or years later and you're struggling with something within your triad that you need to talk through. Having somebody in your corner, whether it's a specific social worker or just the agency as a whole, is really important. And you want to make sure that you build that connection because it will ultimately help you as a parent.
Yeah, absolutely. And truth be told, every social worker in the agency has a different background, has a different experience with adoption, has a different experience with social work. So, each of those experiences is going to have its own uniqueness. But being willing and open to going to that person and to opening the dialogue and having the conversation and asking the questions and owning your role in this process is going to serve you. This is not your typical service-oriented business. There is a requirement of you to be just as open and honest as you can be with that other person and to be vulnerable and to allow yourself to not feel badly about your vulnerability, but to own it, respect it, and to use it in that relationship with the social worker, because every social worker, whether they have adoption experience or not, they went into the field of social work because they want to help, and they want to help make something happen for someone and make things better for someone. So if you give them the opportunity to do that, they will do that to the best of their ability, and if they can't do it themselves, they'll find resources for you that can.
Absolutely, well said. Well, Adoptions from the Heart is lucky to have Sheila on our team. I'm always proud to work alongside you, Sheila. I think you bring in a lot of personal experience and just your work ethic and dedication to making sure your clients are serviced to the degree that they should be is very important. And I'm hopeful that folks can hear from a social worker just to better understand the agency that you are getting involved with. And we're grateful for it, so thank you. Thank you so much, guys, and continue to tune in for future episodes here at Adoptions from the Heart TV.